I didn't expect much from the party, which is probably why the moment landed the way it did. We had paper plates that curled at the edges from the humidity, a grocery store cake with frosting so sweet it made my teeth ache, and a living room rearranged just enough to pretend it was an event. My daughter, 4 years old and already careful, sat cross-legged on the rug, peeling tape from boxes with a patience that made me proud and tired at the same time. My parents arrived late. They always did. They brought a gift bag that had been folded flat, reused so many times the handles were soft as cloth. I noticed the crease before I noticed the weight of it, light and hollow. I told myself not to read into it. I told myself to keep the day small. My sister's kids were already buzzing, sugar and noise orbiting the coffee table. When my daughter opened the bag, the toy slid out without resistance. It was a plastic pony with a bright mane and a crack running down one side of its body, a clean split like a fault line. The head wobbled when she lifted it. She didn't say anything. She turned it over, studying it, as if the answer might be printed somewhere on the underside. My mother laughed first. Not loud, she never was, but sharp enough to cut. "That's what disappointment kids get," she said, like she was offering a proverb, something wise and deserved. There was a beat where the room decided what it was going to be. My sister's kids took it as permission. They laughed, too, the way children do when they sense an adult has given them cover. My father didn't look at me. He watched the pony tip and right itself in my daughter's hands. I felt the old reflex rise, correct, protect, confront. Say something clean and immediate. But my body did something else. It went still. I reached for a napkin and wiped frosting from the table that wasn't there. I said, "Thank you for coming." To no one in particular. I watched my daughter place the pony next to her knee, not playing with it, just keeping it close, as if it might need her to. The party ended the way small parties do, coats collected, cake sliced into uneven squares, plastic forks abandoned. My parents left without apology or explanation. My sister avoided my eyes. When the door closed, the room felt normal again, which was somehow worse. That night, after my daughter fell asleep with the cracked pony tucked against her chest, I sat at the kitchen table and did the inventory I had been postponing for years. It wasn't dramatic. It was practical. I opened my laptop. I logged into accounts that had been open so long they felt like utilities themselves. Electricity, internet, phone, the little things that add up to a life running smoothly when you're not looking too closely. I had started paying their bills after my father's temporary setback, which had stretched into a season, then a habit. It wasn't charity. It was framed as family. I never asked for thanks. I never asked for change. I told myself it was easier this way, that money was cleaner than arguments. I turned off autopay. One by one. No message. No announcement. Just a series of toggles switched from blue to gray. The act felt strangely formal, like filing paperwork rather than cutting a cord. When I closed the laptop, my hands were steady. The next day passed, then another. I half expected a call immediately. Confusion, anger, a demand dressed up as concern. Nothing came. I wondered if the systems would absorb the change, if the world would continue without noticing my small withdrawal. A part of me hoped it would. A larger part knew better. On the 5th day, my phone lit up while I was folding laundry. My mother's name. I let it ring once, twice, long enough to feel the weight of the choice, then I answered. "Something's wrong with the internet," she said, skipping greeting. "It's been out since yesterday." "I know," I said. I kept my voice even, the way you do when speaking to customer service. "Well? Are you gonna fix it?" "No." There was a pause long enough to measure. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean I'm not paying for it anymore." She inhaled sharply. "Is this about that toy? Don't be ridiculous." "I'm not being ridiculous," I said. "I'm being clear." My father took the phone. His voice was softer, which had always been his strategy. "We're on a fixed income," he said. "You know that. This isn't the time." I thought of my daughter's careful hands. The way she had not cried. "This is exactly the time," I said, and ended the call before I could explain further. By evening, the calls multiplied. Voicemails stacked up, the tone shifting with each one, confusion sliding into accusation. By morning, the authority arrived without my involvement. A utility company's automated notice, a late fee warning. The consequences moved through proper channels, indifferent to family narratives. My sister texted once. "Mom's really upset." No question mark. No apology. I didn't respond. When my parents came to my house unannounced that afternoon, they stood on the porch like guests who had lost the map. My mother's hair was undone. My father held a folder of papers, bills printed out like evidence. "This is cruel," my mother said as soon as I opened the door. "After everything we've done for you." I stepped aside and let them in, not out of politeness but habit. The living room looked smaller with them in it. The cracked pony sat on the shelf where my daughter had placed it, repaired with a strip of clear tape she had insisted on adding herself. My father spread the papers on the table. "We can't manage this," he said. "Always handled it." "I have," I said. "I'm not anymore." My mother pointed at the pony. "You're holding a grudge over a joke." "Wasn't a joke," I said. "And this isn't a grudge. It's a boundary." They stared at me as if I had switched languages mid-sentence. Boundaries had never been our family's currency. Obligation was, I didn't list grievances. I didn't revisit old scenes. I told them what would happen next, calmly and once. If they wanted help, it would be partial and temporary, with respect attached. If not, they would adjust. The terms were simple enough to write down. I offered to help them call the utility companies and set up payment plans. I did not offer to resume autopay. My mother laughed then. "Brittle, you think you have power now." I looked at the table, the papers, the folder that had been carried in like a shield. "I don't think about it that way," I said. "I'm thinking about my daughter." They left without agreement. The door closed. The house exhaled. That night, my daughter asked if Pony was broken forever. I told her no, that some things work differently after you fix them. She nodded, satisfied with that. I don't know what will happen next. Help might resume, changed. It might not. The silence has weight, but it's a weight I can carry. I didn't win anything. I didn't celebrate. I just stopped pretending that patience was the same as dignity, and let the consequences speak in the only language my family had ever listened to.